But anywho, today we're going to talk about Emulsion Pro. For those of you that have done Zoom meetings before, you could either type in questions through chat, or there's a little Q&A box. If you move your mouse around, you'll see it. Or you could text me your questions at 216-633-4124. When I delete my picture while Phil's going through his presentation, the cell phone number will be there. We'll go through, normally we go 5 minutes of video, 5 minutes of presentation, and then open discussions with questions and answers. Phil has foregoed the movie because he's much more entertaining. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Phil Pitts.
All right, good afternoon, good morning, West Coasters. It's a pretty simplistic subject, Emulsion Pro, so it sort of doesn't need a movie. But Emulsion Pro is actually my top seller in the Northeast on a square foot basis. I sell way more of Emulsion Pro than I do any other finish. Emulsion Pro, I'm amazed it's been on the market for a long time, and I get asked a lot, hey, what is this stuff, Emulsion Pro? What is it? When I'm at tabletops or customer events. So Emulsion Pro is a water-based finish with a traditional oil look. And you can use Emulsion Pro of a red oak or maple to achieve a nice oil look, to get that kind of honey tone. You can use it as an ambering sealer and then put a real durable finish like street shoe on top of it. Or you can use it as a finish straight up, as a sealer and 2 coats of finish. Works super well over brown stains. Especially where you're looking for a little depth or a little patina, as some call it, and just for a kind of a classical, brown, wood floor look. But unlike oil, it's very fast because it's water-based. So instead of driving to your job twice, you can get 2 coats down in a day. And we can T-bar it, or we can roll it. You can apply it with a cut-in pad, however you like. I'd like to note that the 5-gallon pails are very handy. In particular, in the Northeast, I sell a whole lot of 5-gallon pails, and they're handy because it's a workhorse product. It's just they're always in the van. You either satin or semi-gloss. The guys just keep them in the van and they use them job to job to job. So let's go to the next slide here. So on the right, we can sort of see a picture of what Emulsion Pro looks like over red oak. So you can see it's very amber. It's very much dark, like a classic oil finish. Yet it has no odor, no flammability. It's VOC compliant nationwide. I know places, some states are getting tighter on VOC limits, and even 350s are even now needing to go into courts. It's a great alternate to solvent-based and oil finishes. I generally don't recommend using Emulsion Pro directly over white oak. It tends to pull tannin. There are contractors who do it all the time, and they're fine with it, but it could take you by surprise if you get the wrong white oak. If you want to use Emulsion Pro over white oak for that classic honey tone oil look, we'd recommend that you seal your white oak with lock and seal first. I don't recommend that you use emulsion over white stain or light gray stains, because in a few weeks you may get a call and saying, hey, we no longer like the color of our floor. It's available in all 4 sheens, and again, semi-gloss and satin are my biggest sellers. So here's a little video here that one of my colleagues sent me, and this is just Emulsion Pro going down with a roller and going down super fast. that floor looks a little light colored, looks a little white. It has that appearance because it's a top coat and the floor just been buffed. But you can see we got nice workability here. Okay. Moving forward about March, not 2020, 2021. It's like my checkbook. I keep doing it. There we go. Moving forward, March, April, you'll see a new label that says Emulsion Pro Plus. A raw material supplier had to make some changes, and we took the opportunity to update the product's handling properties to make them even better. I think this product's been on the market for a good long time, so it was probably good for an overhaul. Hardness, abrasion resistance, and dry times are all going to be comparable with the existing product. However, everybody should see even better handling properties, better foam breaking, better leveling, etc. Emulsion is an economical workhorse. So a lot of people have explained to me that they've used it as kind of a gateway from oil to water, particularly in high rises, particularly in multifamily construction, where if you can't go in with your old oil and be looking over your shoulder waiting for somebody to call the fire department thinking they're getting poisoned, a neighbor upstairs, downstairs, or on the side. This product has no odor and it's VOC compliant, and there's no flammability associated with it. So it's pretty economical. It's a pretty easy transition to water. So just to sort of benchmark Emulsion Pro versus competitors, Bona Mega, it's sort of a an offset to Bona Mega. However, Emulsion gets quite a bit darker and quite a bit faster, and most contractors don't equate the two. Absco Grand in the Northeast is a super popular product. Emulsion would be an offset for it. Radiance, Duraseal water-based polyurethane, emulsion would be an offset for it. ProCoat H2O oil, emulsion would be an offset for it. Loba Hybrid and Glitza Infinity. Okay, so common questions while I'm standing around doing a tabletop or meeting contractors, and usually when they see some oak coated with an emulsion, they'll ask me, is this an oil-based finish? Or it looks like water, but is it oil? And the answer is it's an oil-modified urethane, just like an oil-based finish. However, it's emulsified into water. It's an emulsion. So yes, it's an oil-based finish, but it is emulsified into water, so it applies like a water-based finish and it dries like a water-based finish. The question again and again, does it amber? Is it clear? This product indeed ambers substantially. So it is great for that old look, and it's also great over brown stains. Again, can I use it over stain? Another question. I think I've beat that one to death. And just to reiterate, over white oak would really suggest that you use our Lock and Seal as a tannin blocking sealer, so that you don't get stuck with dark start and stop marks or something like that. We don't want to see anybody have to resand a floor.
Yeah, it's actually pretty interesting the amount of people that do use it over white oak that don't have problems with it, and it does seem to bite somebody in the behind every once in a while. So I do have a comment. I don't know what to call it, but one of the comments was Bona Mega does not amber. So that's a battle I think, Phil, you and I continue to have out there. But
I think their paperwork says it ambers, and
yeah, I mean my response is before they came out with Mega 1 was, why would they have Mega Clear, right? isn't he?
But I would say relative to emulsion, that
Yeah.
I could see where you'd make that statement. Relative to emulsion, it doesn't.
Yeah, when you pour both of them in a clear cup
Yeah.
or something like that, you don't notice.
Yeah.
But that's for sure. So you say it dries like water-based. Does it dry too fast?
Too fast?
Yeah.
I mean, it dries like any other water-based finish. In 2 to 4 hours, you can be back in there and applying and hot coating it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where if you read the paperwork on all water-based finishes, theoretically you can get 3 coats done in a day, but realistically, 2 coats is plenty. One of the questions that come up to Phil, I can't remember whether you mentioned that earlier today or whether you talked about it this one, because I kind of writing some of these things down, but price points of these products.
So price point on Emulsion Pro is generally going to be about $45 to the contractor per gallon. So it's a pretty palatable price for a water-based finish, and that's part of why I think it's sort of a gateway from oil to water. It's not such a tough pill to swallow if you're gonna say, well, I'm gonna try doing some water-based finish in the next couple months. It's not price-wise, it's not so difficult to take.
Yeah, I think you categorized it the right way, at least in my mind. When I travel around the country where people are using Emulsion Pro, it's generally guys that are going from oil to a water, no doubt about it. And then only do they, when they get into situations like you were talking, hey, they're going to go over a gray stain or they've got a light colored wood, what do? And they start getting into some of the clears. What sealers can you use with it? Now you did mention lock and seal for over white oak, but what about other sealers?
So generally speaking, over white oak, you'd use lock and seal. I mean, you certainly could use, our Hydroline water-based sealer, but more than likely, unless you're concerned with pulling tannin, more than likely you're going to just use this as a sealer. It's a nice, it buffs nicely, so there's really no downside to using it as a sealer.
How can you apply it? I think you mentioned that, but might as well go
mentioned it, but again, T-bar roller, as you saw in the video, cut-in pad if you get a small space, all of the traditional water-based installation methods. A roller would recommend a 3/8 microfiber cover, but yeah.
Okay. Can you use it for commercial, residential, or sport?
Yes.
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 Yeah, it's kind of funny. Some of these questions come up over and over, but yeah, actually, Emulsion Pro Gloss is a very popular product in the sport world for sure.
And honestly, when you put it on bare maple, it looks pretty nice. It looks really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Coverage rate?
Standard. I usually say count on 500 feet per gallon. Your first coat, if you're using it as a sealer, you're going to get closer to 400, and on your third coat, you're probably going to get closer to 600. So if you calculate using 500, you're usually in good shape for a project.
Yeah, I think that's a good round number. With that, you hit all the questions, Mr. Pitts. Very nice job. Want to thank everybody for joining us. This is one of the earliest ones that we've got done so far, which is fine. We're all about passing along the information and letting everybody get back to work. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. Before everybody goes, I do want to mention that last year we had a Floor of the Year contest. We're doing it again this year. We just announced the winners at the beginning of this year from the 2020 contest. So just like last year, we're going to do a monthly contest, one for sport and one for commercial and residential. And all a contractor has to do is take some pictures on the job, mention the products that they used, post the pictures on Instagram, and attach hashtag #WoodFloorProud, and they automatically get entered. If they win for the month, they get $250 worth of free basic coatings materials, plus the envy of the world. and they are automatically entered into the Floor of the Year contest. Last year, we gave away a tape machine with a 25-foot telegraphing arm for the sport winners, and a Festool T55 saw and rail. And this year, we're giving away the same thing on the sports side. It's a custom painted EMAC tape machine. But on the commercial and residential side, it's going to be this power nail. I can't read the whole thing, but it's the power nail where you can get right up close to the wall. It's like a $900 tool. So pass that along to your contractors if you're a distributor, and if you're one of the contractors on the call here, feel free to enter the contest. If you don't have an Instagram account, just reach out to your local territory manager. I know Michael Coates is on this call. He did a few of those last year. One of them that won, and one of them that won Floor of the Year.
Is it Instagram only, or is it Instagram and or Facebook?
It's a good question. It's any social media venue. Any social media will do, but we had to kind of just like pick one. But Instagram is the primary one, and usually if you're on Instagram, it gets posted to Facebook and vice versa. But behind the scenes, as far as searching for it, it's just a lot easier for us to tell people to use Instagram. And actually this year, speaking of oddities or whatever, but this year we're also going to say tag us at Basic Coatings, because in November and December, Instagram would not allow us to search for those hashtags because of the elections. So if something like that happens again this year, we have 2 ways of searching for it. So with that, I want to thank everybody. Mr. Pitts, great job. Again, everybody, thanks for joining us today. And go Browns, for those of you that...
Thanks, everybody. Happy Friday.